Hello, Great Couch family. This is Stanley and
This is Otito.
coming,
Otito.
coming to you again. And today, Otito and I were having a conversation off camera as usual. I mean, all these things really start from off camera, Abby. And just say, let's bring you into it. So we're talking about contradictory love.
Mhm,
The question that she challenged me with is it possible to love your partner or 100% of the time, all the time, that, you know, Google,
mhm,
don't say Google Gaga love, but just, and I
mhm,
honestly have to answer no. You can,
mhm,
it's me, the eternal optimist saying this, so no,
mhm,
because
mhm,
unless your partner is not a human being, unless your partner is a spirit being, there'll be
mhm.
times that you just want to just say, ah, or, um, And even though the novels and the storybooks and the movies will tell us otherwise, or that, no, just forever after, that's not the truth. So the question I asked that, what then do you now do in the times when you are frustrated, with your partner,
Mhm,
and
mhm. Uh, I saw a meme where it said Netflix versus reality, where in Netflix the man like surprised the woman, grabbed her, and was kissing her passionately, and then in real life somebody tried to do that, and the wife used the pot she was using in the kitchen to just bang his head, like, excuse me from my work. But I mean, I think if you're looking at love as an emotion, right? Then you say you cannot keep up with that, what is depicted, that depiction of, fiery, passionate, eros kind of love. You cannot keep up with that. But if we know that, well, love is like the day to day to day to day, love is like the commitment, what undergirds the commitment that you made, then you say, okay. But then what do you do in those emotion laden times when irritation, right? Irritation, when I say
frustration.
yes, yes, yes. But I'm saying, remember, but irritation and frustration, they're all different sides of the anger coin, right? Remember, it took us a while to say irritation is actually anger. It's you just saying some expectation is not being met, right? That kind of thing. And so what do you do when that kind of comes in? Right? How do you just recognize, okay, this person that I'm irritated at is the person that I'm going to go into the bedroom with in the night? How do you fix that dichotomy sometimes? Because I mean, maybe the thing the person did really was annoying, right? But are you supposed to stay in that emotion? If you did, and you did it for too long over and over again, it's going to overshadow the good coins in the bank, as they say, like in the love bank, right? So the idea is, how do you make sure that your account is not in the deficit, right? In that sense.
And I don't know who was it that says that to love big, you have to
Mm-hmm.
think small. And
Mm-hmm.
the person was talking about little, the small things that you do here and there that will add up, a compliment here, an observation here, those
Mm-hmm.
things, I
Mm-hmm.
find that the first things to go when you're frustrated are those small things because you can't remember
Mm-hmm.
them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the question that she posed to me, how do you now do? I now have to think like, what do I normally do? And when
Mm-hmm.
I'm frustrated and I'm angry and I want to respond in kind or what my perceived kind, I normally take a step back and try and remember. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
remembering the good thoughts, the happy times, the fun, sometimes the sex, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that comes to mind. And you're like, okay, let me build up from this and see, okay, let me not just lash out right now, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
angry, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not very easy
But
to.
could that be said to be stonewalling, right? How do you differentiate that stepping back from you not wanting to engage deliberately? because there's a stepping back of saying, you know what, I can't deal with this right now. I'm not ready to deal with this right now. Or are you saying that stepping back is something you do in your mind, but it's not showing in the actions? Because, you know, stonewalling too is not good, right? It's not allowing the conversation to move forward, right? So how do you differentiate between the two?
With stonewalling, you've washed your hands clean, I feel. I don't, but with this thinking back, the episode is still in your head, but you're like, okay, how am I going to respond? You know, the difference is that as opposed to detachment and abandonment and running away, with my stepping back, I'm like, okay, how do I engage? I do not want to run away, but I want to engage positively. As opposed to stonewalling, whereby you're like, you know what, if this never comes up again, fine with it, you know, I'm just going to put that as a check mark that this person did this to me, you know. That's what I feel by way of Stone. So Stone, you will never hear it again. It will pop up, but not the way you expect it. But with this step, I intend to respond to this, you know, but not in kind. What's the best way I can respond? And the better you get at this, the easier it becomes, because there are a lot of irritants. Let me put it that way. There are a lot of irritants, you know. So
not people though. Hopefully the irritant is not the person, but
hey, so it can be what the person did. It can be, you know, how the person responded. It can even be other people talking to the person and maybe not even the person responded. A lot of it, but they are irritants, you know. And the question is, if you get good at making it, how do they say, when life hands you lemons, you make lemonade, right? So if you look at this as a lemon, right? If you get very good at making lemonade, converting those irritants into beads, into bits of affection, you know, as in chances to remember the good. Hopefully you have a good number of memories. Because that
right. That was going to be the next thing. Like, some people cannot even bring themselves to remember, right? Like a good memory. So if you're thinking about a functional marriage, right? Obviously every functional marriage has its issues, but there should be something that you can draw on, right? Something good, something lovely that you can draw on.
And you have a good starting point that you've mentioned not once, not twice on the couch, the wedding album. Hopefully have a wedding album, because one of our friends, that photographer was just snapping flashes. You know who you are. They never got their pictures. Shame on that photographer. But anyway.
From that photographer though. Like, they have pictures, but not from that person.
But that's a good place to start, you know, as in, and then the more activities you have together. There's a couple that, you know, I spend some time with, and every Saturday they go on a long walk around their estate, you know, and you know, that's a period where, okay, no matter what's going on, you know, I'm going to have to walk with this person on this day. It's like an official date, you know, such that everybody in the estate knows them, even when they are fighting, like, oh, you guys are the best. We only see you guys talking, you know, together heatedly, more obviously passionately, you know. And, you know, those type of, I guess, rituals, mentioned that before, rituals that you have will be a requisite for good memories to pull on. You get it.
Yeah. Okay. Any question for me?
Oh, you have answered now. What do you do when I irritate you?
What do I do? I shut down.
Stonewall?
What?
Stonewall?
Not stonewalling. More like compartmentalization, right? More like compartmentalization. Only because, you know, I used to be, notice I said used to be, a person who the emotions will like becloud your whole day, right? So it's kind of like, you know, taking a step back. But this one is just saying, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this right now, right? And then, you know, in terms of over the years, which is, I feel like we do this, but you don't find people saying do this, like the kinds of standard advice that is given, this doesn't come into play. And I laugh because I'm like, I'm not about you all, but this is working for us, right? Working for us, which is writing down what the incident is and how you felt about it, right? So the other person has a chance to read it and respond. You see what I'm saying? As opposed to just talking. Because I know that in talking, you can sometimes say things that you don't mean. But writing is a way to clarify the actual feeling, to say, this happened, this is how I felt about it. What do you have to say, right? So again, when people talk about their personal experiences, this becomes one of them. I've not seen anywhere where they said this works, right? In terms of in terms of writing a letter or a long text message or things like that. But I feel like that is almost it's that idea of saying, hey, this situation is here, we're going to have to talk about it, but here is it being like presented to you prima facie, right? Like you're seeing this thing as the person was maybe processing it. So then you have it, you have more information, right? I feel like that has worked for you because you always like to have your information to say, hey, what are we talking about here? Because I don't even remember sometimes, right? So that's kind of what I do.
So what about a hypothetical situation whereby there's been a rift, and since one of my love languages is touch, just want to come and embrace you and just let you know everything be okay. And there's a, well, what I would term a rejection, but I mean maybe just stiffening or a tensing up, that doesn't melt after the 6 seconds. And then for the guy, you now step back and say, okay, this is a rejection upon insult on the injury, and then it now sends you off into another spiral of, okay, not the first thing happened, now this second thing has happened again, and how this happen. What would you say to that?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like, it's recognizing that like what's that Babinski reflex, when you knock somebody on the knee with a hammer, when you go to the doctor, the knee jerks. That thing is not something that the person meant to do, right? Even when you see the hammer coming and you say, I'm not going to, jerk this knee, it doesn't happen. So I feel like, if someone is doing that, right, that's kind of like making a bead. If you've heard us talk about making beads before, which is all well and good, but recognize that if the woman is still like overwhelmed with the emotion of the moment, they're going to tense up of like, why are you trying to hug me when I just told you I'm annoyed, right? So if you recognize that's just almost like a physiological reaction to the event and not to you. You see what I'm saying? Then maybe the ego will not be driving the thing here. I think there's that thing, you've done that before, like, Laila, I must hug you until this annoyance goes away. And so it will now be, I mean, the other person cannot just say, get out of here, right? Like that will now be like, what's going on? So if you do that, you find out that the thing will go down, right? Because we humans too are very sensitive to touch, as it were, which is why they're like, keep touching your significant other, and don't be thinking that every touch is going to now, be leading to sex or something like that. So yeah.
I maybe I'm an advocate for touch. One of the reasons being that in a lot of disagreements or fights, the first thing that ebbs away is the touch. As in, first of all, you stay your way, I stay my way, and then it continues to escalate from there. But I mean, I think there are 3 A's that, as a guy, that I like to try and do. Or don't do. I mean, there are 3 A's. The first one is don't attack, as in lash out, respond violently. And the second one is don't avoid, which is easy for me. I mean, my way of dealing with things, rather than do, I'd rather just avoid, but do approach. And that approach is how you now embrace and come closer, and then find a way to, okay, while the lines of communication are open, we can now break things down a little bit. So those are like 3 little A's that I think about.
So, but the approach is not going to be like approach of like, we must settle this matter like this. But I see what you're saying. Approach of bidding, right? The thing of, I'm going to make a bid here. And I have to tell you that we need to talk about this bid a bit more, right? Because I have seen, many situations, right, where just physically I'm observing and I can see that the other party is making a bid, but then the person I'm speaking to does not even recognize it for what it is, right? It's like, you do know that this person is just not saying, they're not saying the apology out loud, or if it's an apology or whatever, but they're trying to remedy the situation. You have to understand that this is a remedy, even in as much as it's not fitting in with your standard thing, right? So it's almost like understanding your partner's ways of doing things, right? And I think for you to always say, are you trying to, half apologize for what you did? Okay, just come out right and say sorry, that kind of thing. But you have to understand, right? And know and take it for what it is. I think that understanding has come to me so much better over the years, right? Because honestly, there have been times, right, where the person makes the bid and you consciously ignore it. You're just like, oh, I don't want this, right? In that sense. But now you're actually able to say to the person, thank you for this, however, perhaps I'm still upset, right? But you would acknowledge that the person is making the bid, as it were. So, yeah.
I mean, just wanted to clarify, what you say, there's don't attack. And when you come out guns blazing, an approach is more gradual. As in, imagine someone, you're approaching something, you're treading carefully, you're coming slowly, as opposed to attack, as in you're trying to cover, it's just the mental picture that I wanted to paint. But I agree with you. We need to tackle bids more. What type of bids? The humorous bids, the acts of service bids, the letter writing bid, the note bid, as in just different ways to try and diffuse tension. With you, you're stuck with me. I'll make a joke out of something, just try and diffuse the tension, and then jump in from there.
More like I'm stuck on you, not stuck with you.
I'll take on over. All right. So
just crack a joke. That's you rubbing off on me.
So that's what we have for you this week. Keep on sending your questions in, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.